No, thanks for joining. Appreciate
Sure.
Absolutely.
taking the time to.
Wheeling the folks.
Yep. So yeah, so most people are going to probably know who Heath is, but why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? Heath, why don't you start, and then Zach, then you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Heath Adams. I go by the Cyber Mentor online, and primarily, I think I'm known most for teaching cybersecurity and being, I guess, a voice in the educator and hacker space.
You do all the cool things, though. What do you mean?
Yes.
He's so humble. He's the humblest person I've ever met. So I'm Zach Hill. I work for this guy now, doing marketing and stuff. But I also run the YouTube channel IT Career Questions, where I just try to help bring more people into the IT field. And part of that has been venturing into the cybersecurity area for the past few years because we're in desperate need of more people who are qualified and skilled to step foot in that field. So I'm definitely trying to drive more interest there, and teaming up with Heath, I think we're gonna tackle some great things.
We definitely are.
That's good, and it's and Heath's done some great things so far, and it's kind of good to have some help because just trying to manage marketing and I mean, you did it for years, and so it's got to be a lot easier, and you'll be able to do more things with some help. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, but I can just imagine now how much more you're going to accomplish since you got someone that can deal with the marketing, and then you can deal with doing what you do best.
It's good to have somebody yell at me too. So.
That's good. Good. Well, it's also too. It sounds like that he's good for encouragement too. So that's a good thing. And then also having another perspective on doing things. It's always good to have another opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Always. And I think we share a lot of the same common thoughts and feelings about what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. So I think it makes for. I don't know. There's a good team there. There's good balance.
We get along.
Yeah, for the most part.
That's good. So yeah, I've kind of seen you tweeting, and when did you start handling the marketing and stuff for TCM?
September. I've been in the middle of September now.
Sounds right. I don't remember.
Well, that's good.
It's all blur.
Yeah, I don't know how you did all the stuff that you were doing before. I don't know how you do all the stuff you do now. You say that John Hammond never sleeps, but I feel like you never sleep.
John Hammond never sleeps. I'm convinced he's a robot.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I can just imagine what all of you, what it must have been like, because I do a little bit myself, not nearly as much, but yeah, I can just imagine how that had to be, handling it all on your own and balancing that with the teaching and consulting and all that.
Yeah, just wearing too many hats and getting worn thin. Still feel worn thin, but Zach's taken a lot of pressure off of me, which has been nice.
I hope so.
That's good. So Zach, why don't you? So I was noticing you got your YouTube channel trying to help people. So kind of how long have you been at doing that?
Oh gosh, I started that in 2014.
Oh wow, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, September 2014. So it's been a while now. But it was like last year where I kind of quit doing that full time, where I couldn't, because I did YouTube full time for about 3 years, where IT Career Questions, that was my main driver, and then I got burnt out on that. So it's time to switch things up a little bit. So
yeah, that's good. So
but I'm still pumping out content there, still trying to help people. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's just really helping people and guiding people, because I feel like, and Heath knows, we all know here, we've been in this field for a while. We didn't have the same resources available to us, even 5 years ago. The resources that we have available to us now, they weren't there. And I think it's so important to help people just at least be aware of what's out there and the options that they have to get started in this field.
Philip had to wrestle a bear for his IT knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so one of the things is now too is the more affordable resources and stuff, because the TCM content's affordable. you see a lot of stuff, more good content on YouTube than what there was before. Because for me, whenever I got my first pen testing job, I went through the OSCP course, and that was like probably one of the more cost effective resources out there, as well as some of the security tube stuff. Back before Pen Tester Academy became Pen Tester Academy, there was still security tube, so that was some of the less expensive, but that was still hundreds of dollars for his courses and stuff. So definitely good to see that out there. And I saw that, Heath, you put that good video out recently, kind of because a lot of people have jumped in from other areas trying to, cash in on cybersecurity without really that background. So that was good that you put that out there, because that's one of the things people have to look for is there's a lot of content out there, but trying to sort through what is good. And if you're a complete beginner, you're not going to know what's good or what's not,
Yeah, due diligence is everything. And, research is a big part of this field. So just encouraging people to do their own research and their own due diligence, I think is useful. But there's so many content creators out there that are doing it for the sole purpose of education and, actually work in the field, know about the field, or are upfront about their deficiencies. And I think that's important, is just to like find people that are honest content creators and, who are growing with you and willing to teach you what they're learning. And, I think that goes a long way, better than just high production quality content. Just being able to have people that you can trust usher you into the field is really important.
100%. And I mean, in like the last 2 years, like just content creation has exploded. I mean, there's so many more content creators out there than, that there's ever been. So there's so many different personalities for people to kind of like latch onto and say like, oh, I really like this person because, XYZ kind of like lines up with my XYZ. So I'm going to watch all their content and follow along with them and, go along with them in their journey, because there are so many of them now, even just starting out creating content or transitioning to a different area within IT, and they're documenting that and sharing kind of their process. And there's so many great avenues for people to kind of take advantage of that and follow along with them.
Yeah. COVID brought out a lot of content creators, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's interesting, because whenever I got some of my setup for home, I got my camera and mic and all that. Guitar Center was out of mics, and they said, and this wasn't just content creators, this is like churches and stuff. They've started streaming their services. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the AV equipment was kind of hard to come by since it was getting sold up pretty quickly. And it was kind of funny when I was getting my camera. I got the Sony ZV-1. Whenever I was purchasing my camera, I procrastinated too long, and someone else was looking at the camera, and I was considering it, and someone come along and asked for it. I had to drive, like 14 miles to another store to get the camera because they'd bought the last one. But yeah, it's pretty amazing how people are trying to get into that. The same day I was looking for my camera, I ran into someone who was a fitness instructor that was taking advantage of the pandemic. A lot of them had to kind of pivot to doing courses online and stuff, training online because of the lack of in-person stuff.
For sure. And I think one of the things that you want to talk about was kind of how people can get themselves out there more. And
sure.
Along those lines, like, I don't want people to think like you have to go out there, you have to spend hundreds of dollars on a microphone, $100 on a camera. Not at all. It's literally about the quality of the actual content that you're delivering. That's all that's ever going to matter. I mean, you can take your microphone from your laptop and just just show your screen and talk over it. But there's a lot of advantages to doing that nowadays. I mean, especially like more now than ever. I mean, I've seen so many people just be almost not given opportunities, but have so many more opportunities available to them by putting themselves out there more.
So what are some ways that this could help someone like break into the industry that's doing this? Because, some of the videos that they're putting out could be helpful to people beginning, but are there any kind of ways this could be leveraged, when people are trying to get interviews and applying for jobs? Is there any way that could be leveraged, or do you find that helpful?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you say something like not putting links on your resume before though?
No, I think you should. Yeah, you should. I think like YouTube videos or blogs or whatever are great. And like, I tell people not to reinvent the wheel, because it really doesn't matter if you have viewership or not. Like, you should do what you're interested in creating, and create blog posts that are useful for you. For example, when I still go back and reference my videos when I'm on pen tests. Honestly, I will watch, like, if I forget a tool or a command or something, I'll go back and watch a video on how to do it. So it's useful for me, but like, also giving back to the community it just shines through on a resume. So having a blog or a YouTube channel, even if nobody knows about it, like showing that on your resume says, hey, I really like cybersecurity and I like it so much that I'm willing to put it on video or put it on paper. And I think that goes a long way with hiring managers.
For sure, 100%. I was going to say, like, I refer back to some of my old videos, because if I forget to do something, because it's a great way to document, like, what you're doing. So many times I've forgotten, like, one step. Like, I know it's in that video. I just got to go back to it and find it. But yeah, somebody also put in the chat, like, Content Creation X is a great portfolio to show your knowledge. And I cannot stress that enough, especially like nowadays when you're sending out your resume, like 99% of the time it's in like a PDF and you can have your link there. So it's clickable. And as coming from somebody who has hired people in IT, like, I would always click on any links to see like what is somebody doing? Like, what are they delivering to me? Do they have a website, that's there? I'm going to click on that in their resume. I want to know more about them. I want to see what it is that they're doing. And that's an absolutely fantastic way for hiring managers and directors to see that you actually have some of these skills. They don't even have to bring you in or talk to you. It's like right there on your resume, they know that you have some of these particular skills that they're looking for. And especially when you're talking over these videos, or even if you have like, your camera on in the video, showing your personality, like, that is like huge, because a lot of times, when you're hiring, you're not just hiring for the technical skills, you're trying to make sure they're going to be like a cultural fit and going to work out for you, because so many reasons, I guess.
Yeah. And it seems like too, the presentation skills. So you're able to show that you're able to present, and that can be helpful. Even if you're not creating content for some company, if you're able to, give a presentation, that can be helpful, because sometime in your career, you're going to have to do something like that. If it's not just presenting to your team, maybe to your department or other departments in the company.
Yeah, I mean, the last job that I worked at in the hospital, because I was creating content, they would ask me to help them with some of their content creation for like their nurses and stuff like that. So developing like some like slides, and I even help them develop a video. It's weird how like all that stuff just comes into play sometimes when you like people find out like, oh, you know how to do these weird things, like let us take advantage of you, So having some of those skills sometimes can definitely be very helpful.
Yeah, and it all builds up. Like Zach said, I mean, I started on a 720p like camera on my laptop, and the quality was terrible. But I was really just recording like hack the box walkthroughs for myself. And somebody in chat said that they feel they have nothing valuable to share. People had made 100 of those walkthroughs before. It's just like, I put my spin on it the way I wanted to teach it. And if nobody watched, that's fine, because I still can go back and refer to it. And eventually, like, people started watching, and I got enough subscribers. It's like, hey, maybe I need to update the quality or do something about it. And that eventually led to content creation for orgs as well. And I've done security courses for like major airlines before I got like really big and stuff. So like there's a lot of opportunity that you'd be surprised that you grow into. And somebody said that like they hate hearing their voice. Everybody hates hearing their voice. Like, nobody likes their voice, but it's just all about the audience, and your mic can be tweaked to sound better than you really do anyway. So like, you learn all these like editing and audio quality, video quality skill sets as you go. The most important thing is just like sitting down, hitting record, and just like actually putting in the time to just make the content. And if nobody shows up, you still made the content and you still have something to refer back to.
Yeah, I don't think it's about, when I look at it this way, I don't think it's about like trying to get people to show up. Like, if you guys want to create content to be content creators, that's great. Like, go out there and you can follow these steps and try to be a YouTuber or a streamer. But I think the biggest advantage just nowadays, and just like the digital age that we're living in currently, is getting yourself out there so people can see you and just be aware of you and what it is that you're doing. That's going to help you stand out. And I even said this recently, I think in a video, like, the days of, walking into a business and asking for a job or asking for an application are gone. Like, you can't do that anymore. So there's no way to put yourself in front of somebody, because back 20 years ago, like I could walk into a business and hopefully sometimes you could talk to a hiring manager. You could talk to the person in charge. You just can't do that anymore. So how do you get yourself in front of people? Well, you take advantage of the internet, because that's where everybody's at. That's what everybody's doing now, especially since 2020, for sure.
It's all about planting seeds and getting in front of as many people as you can, because you never know what seed's going to actually grow into something for you. You never know who's going to turn out to be somebody, even like somebody that's your peer now could be your hiring manager later, or somebody that is your peer now might get a job and say, hey, they're also hiring. So like, you never know who you're going to influence and leave a positive like influence on, and how that may pay dividends later. So just being a good person and giving to the cybersecurity community, the cybersecurity community will give back to you for sure.
Yeah,
the cybersecurity community has been like the most helpful that I've seen out of everybody, or all the different kind of sectors of IT. When you look at cybersecurity, the people that are there helping each other, I think blows every other area out of the water, hands down.
Yeah, and it seems like, when people see you're wanting to help others, then that's a big boost, big help.
Yeah, it definitely encourages others, I think, to, being that way. I've seen it. I mean, I've seen so many people just, be encouraged by the things that we're doing and follow suit. I mean, look how many content creators I think that we've created on our own, just from, people like, wow, I really love what they're doing, and I want to, I want to try that same thing. And that's wild thinking about that.
For sure.
And it's amazing too. You just don't know how well you're going to do until you give it a try, because there's some folks out there that, just started streaming or whatever, and they're a natural and they pick it up and do really well with it.
That was this guy.
Yeah, and there's trajectories, right? I always encourage people to go look at John Hammond, because he's a great example of dude's been putting in work for 10 years. He's got like 1,000 videos on his YouTube channel. He didn't blow up until a year ago. I mean, people knew who he was, but he didn't blow up until a year ago, where like my trajectory was completely different. I took off pretty quick. But it's just to say, like, just because you feel like nobody's watching doesn't mean that they're not, or doesn't mean that you can't perfect your craft, or you can't put in those 10,000 hours, in really put in the work and make something, of yourself from content creation. And there's a lot of famous people that talk about how terrible they were. I used to listen to Howard Stern a lot, and he said like he used to record himself talking for hours at a time just to hear, himself hear what he would say and go back and fix that. And it takes hours and hours of practice. Like your first videos are going to suck. It's just like hands down, they're going to suck. And maybe your 10th or your 100th video is going to suck. It's just that as long as you're passionate about it, like as long as it doesn't feel like work, it's something that you're doing because you like doing it. I just stick with it. And if hopefully people will come. Like at the end of the day, you got to do it for yourself.
Literally the first 200 videos I have on my channel were all recorded from like an iPhone 4. Like literally the first 200. I think there's like 900 videos on my channel now. I'm pretty sure the first 200 were all recorded from a cell phone.
So, very cool. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. And just some of the people getting into it. I know some people have been encouraged because you see some of these different sites out there saying if you want to make passive income or make money, you do YouTube videos or a Udemy course or whatever. And I think maybe some people may get, thinking they're going to get rich quick or something. And I think that's drawn a lot of people in, but
I hate encouraging people in that aspect, because I don't know about Heath, but I always have people like coming to me like, how do I become a YouTuber? I want to make money. And that's like, okay, that you're already like, I can't even talk to you.
Doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. The whole reason I started doing what I was doing is because I wanted to help people. I never in a million years imagined I would be doing what I was doing ever. I never set out to be anybody. So the fact that it just it happened, I don't know. It's mind blowing to me. But the whole reason I did it was to help people. The whole reason I'm working with Heath is because I just want to help people. Like that's literally for me what it boils down to. And if you're one of those people who really want to help people, I think that shows. Like that's why I think you blew up, because I think Heath is very, very genuine. He's a very genuine person all the way around. I'm going to make him blush. It'd be pretty cool. But I think that's why people kind of, gravitated to him, because he's very, even though you're not in person with him, he's approachable. He's very, you can get on that same level as him. And when you kind of have that kind of like natural ability, I guess, like, yeah, people just come to you. They flock to you for sure.
Well, a lot of people like will come to me for business advice, and like, again, like, how do I make all this money? And again, looking at the wrong way. Like, what I tell people is you have to find where you feel like things are wrong in either the industry or what's going on, or just like I didn't make a YouTube course, a Udemy course to make money. I made a Udemy course because there was no course out there teaching Active Directory. There's no course out there teaching practical pen testing. The fact that it took off, fantastic. Yeah, it's been absolutely great. We've been able to build a business around it. But that wasn't the intent. The intent was to create knowledge that didn't exist. Like, I had to find that knowledge on my own and just kind of like piece it together. And, creating a resource like that, I think, was incredibly valuable. And it's the same thing with like certifications. We're just putting stuff out there that we wish exists when we were coming through, or that we think the industry could be doing better. So like, you don't look at it from a money standpoint. You look at it from a how can I help people standpoint. And if the money comes, that's great. But how many lives can you change in the process is really what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it seems like
right there, exactly why I started IT Career Questions. Yeah, sorry, Phil.
And it seems like when you do stuff that opportunities just come to you and stuff. Once you do that, not thinking about making money or whatever, that opportunities will come to you later on. It just seems like one of those karma type things.
Yeah, giving back is huge.
Yeah, I was listening to a webinar over the weekend or a podcast, and I really liked what the guy said, talk about selling or just success in general. Always be, he said it's an ABC, always be closing, ABG, always be giving. And I think that's a good motto to live by.
Yeah, I think you find that from a lot of us at TCM for sure. I think we're all always trying to give back as much as we possibly can.
That's great. So as far as like some of these platforms, I know you guys are on YouTube a lot. I know Heath does some Twitch stuff for someone getting started out. What do you recommend? Would you recommend streaming, or would you go to creating YouTube content? What would you recommend?
There's so many different, I mean, if you're looking to do content creation and that's your goal, there's so many different avenues to take. You just have to find the one that's going to work best for you, and finding that audience that's also going to work best for you. So it's hard to say, because of, I think, the availability of like all the different options that are there. I personally think YouTube is probably the easiest.
100%. Streaming is the most difficult thing. Like, getting viewers in the science and technology space, as hard as it is, it's a very small space, and you're fighting with a bunch of other talented people. So at the end of the day, yeah, YouTube's also congested, but YouTube has a very, very big reach for science and technology as opposed to Twitch. So like, I feel like it could be pretty disheartening if you start a Twitch channel and just like you stream to like one person or yourself, and which I totally did back in the day, and it helped. Like, for me, it helped boost the YouTube channel, but I don't think it's a set path for everybody. Like, I think like you got to be able to. Well, you got to be able to have thick skin too in the beginning, especially if you're like trying to. If you're impatient and you want results quick, content creation is not going to be one of those things. Like, chances that you blow up really fast are going to be pretty small. So, just working on YouTube, taking the feedback that you do get, and making those changes. Somebody says your audio sucks. Like, okay, go back and take a course on audio engineering or something. Even like just basic YouTube courses. It doesn't have to be like a full thing, and just like start tweaking as you get criticism and accept the criticism. And I think that'll go a long way as well.
Yeah, you have to be ready to be in it for the long haul for sure, if that's kind of what you're going for. How long did it take you to hit 100,000 subscribers?
A couple of years.
Yeah, it took me like 5 years. So
yeah, I think I'm an exception to the rule. Everybody's incredibly different. Like, I think John took like 8 years.
Yeah, he took a long time.
And now he's just like accelerating like a rocket ship. So so everybody's completely different. It just like you take off in different patterns, and you never know. Like, my most popular YouTube video was one I did just for fun for me. It wasn't really like super hacky. It wasn't anything. And that just like took off. You never know what's going to take off for you and like what's going to get a lot of viewers in. So like, you feel like you're going to create the best, coolest video, and then nobody watches it. And it happens all the time. Still happens to this day. I think I have a great idea and they just usually suck. So you like never know what's going to take off. You just have to keep pushing the content out that you like, and hope that, again, one of them takes off and does well.
So somebody says criticism hurts though, but like I feel like criticism is like, it's like the best thing because it allows you to like rebuild yourself or regroup
for sure
and do better. Like I love getting criticism because it always helps me improve. You can never take criticism as a negative. Like sure it could be like seen that way, but really it's like, okay, like here's what you need to do better. So like don't let criticism hurt you. Use that as an avenue to better yourself.
And you have to filter out the trolling too. Like you grow thick skin in content creation, you have to. Otherwise, it's just not for you at the end of the day. But like the internet is literally like a 5-year-old. If there is something about you that you do not like, they will figure out what that is and they'll tell you about it. So if you don't like your nose or your face or whatever, they're going to tell you about it. So like you gotta grow thick skin. But in between there is positive criticism where people will say like, hey, like I like this video, but you know, like the audio could be better. The audio is too soft, or your S's are spiking, you know, like little things that you could do, or the like, you know, could you zoom in on the terminal? Like that was one thing I heard a lot when I first started. Just like little feedback like that, taking that and accepting it and just kind of like using that to grow and get better every time.
Yeah, it seems like there'll be some people out there that are haters, and I'm sure, Heath, you ran into a lot of this because of your success. You post something up, just kind of share your story to help encourage others, and then some people are just jerks about it. So there's going to be that, but just like you said, the criticism, you definitely want it. You want feedback without everyone saying, "Oh, you're awesome, you're great," and they're just trying to make you feel good or whatever, and it's kind of hard to grow.
Yeah, I don't really. It probably sounds bad, but like I get so much of like you're amazing that like it's always like the negative stuff that stands out to me now because it's like I'm looking for a way to improve always.
Yeah. So yeah, it just seems like, and it's interesting too, it seems like a lot of the female content creators there is some level of people just jealous because of success because there's some women on TikTok that have channels doing technical stuff and they constantly get people just kind of trolling them and kind of saying you're only getting this attention because you're a female or whatever, just because they're jealous because they're not doing it themselves. But
there's men out there that can't handle women being better than them, and that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. But those women are awesome. Those content creators, fantastic. There's so many good channels on YouTube and TikTok, like you mentioned, and even Twitch streaming. We rated somebody the other day that I didn't even know about, and she was I just like got caught up in like her content because she was that good. And it's just like you never know who's going to draw you in. And I mean, if you don't have an open mind, that's just there's people like that you're not going to change. But there's amazing content creators out there, a ton of them.
Agreed. It's so frustrating for me because like I've worked in IT for 20 years now, and from the moment I stepped foot in this field, I've worked with women in every single role that I've worked in. There's been multiple women in the IT department, and I've learned so much from them, and like they've been my bosses and my peers. I don't look at it in any like negative way. It's like this is the way that it should be. Why are so many people like giving people a hard time over whoever they are? I hate that. We all bleed red. That's all I can really say. Like,
yep,
we're all human.
Yeah, definitely. And diverse thoughts and experiences definitely make things better. And another thing is too, like with the content creation, you want the diversity too, because you want someone that's from this background to realize that they can do it. Someone that looks like them or they can relate to, they're going to inspire and motivate them to try.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the female community is just like booming right now too, with people like with just coming together and getting their voice out there more. It's been phenomenal, and I love seeing it.
Yeah, because some of my favorite content creators is Rana and also Insider PhD. They do some really great stuff. And then you have She Who Networks that does the stuff on TikTok that does all the network related stuff and started doing some security stuff. She does some pretty good stuff as well.
Yeah, and she does a good job of handling the the guys, I think, and setting an example for women as well. She's pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, she lives in the Dallas area, so I got to meet her at Dallas Hackers Association for the first time, I guess, May of last year. I didn't realize that she was in the area.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. So as far as, the YouTube creation, you kind of spoke on that. As far as other types of branding, what about social media? How can people leverage that to help their career?
LinkedIn, LinkedIn is like the biggest, like most important platform right now, as far as I'm concerned. It's like the only platform that I'm concerned with ever.
From a business standpoint, I think LinkedIn is pretty important, and it's one of those things where people are on better behavior, just because they have to put a face and a name behind their comments, where on Twitter they don't. Though it is a little, I guess, kiss assy at times, where like there was an example where I posted a example copy of our certification. It had somebody else's name on it. It was Jordan Smith. And somebody was like, multiple people are like, congratulations. Like, you didn't read this post whatsoever. So there's a lot of that going around. But at the same time, I think LinkedIn's the best platform. Twitter is one of those necessary evil platforms you kind of have to be on. But other than that, like any social media platform that you feel like you could be successful on, like I'm too old for TikTok, but I think like there are people on there that are killing it and they understand it and crush it. Like Instagram's even a good place for it. Surprisingly, Facebook is a decent place for it from a business perspective. But in my opinion and from my experience, like you have to be your own hype person. Like the only person that's going to hype you up is you. So when you get a new video that you're putting out, go put yourself out on Reddit and Twitter and LinkedIn, and people will share it. I put it on Reddit so many times I eventually got banned from certain communities, but like that's the work and effort that you have to go through, like because nobody else is going to do that for me. So you just have to make sure that you're hyping yourself up until you get enough people that can hype you for you. So like that's building your social media platform, whatever platforms you choose, even if it's multiple. I think they all have their value.
Yeah, I think for getting it, like the biggest chance of like, or the biggest chance of opportunity you would get for a job is going to be LinkedIn. Like if you're struggling, like people need to get on LinkedIn. That platform's a goldmine.
Yeah, and it seems like that's one of those platforms you really need to be active on instead of just having a LinkedIn profile, because it seems like you're sharing information on there, putting posts up. You do a lot better than just connected just on there and expecting people to connect with you or just connecting, it seems like.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago now. I posted on there that I was looking for a job. Like I put on a suit and tie and everything, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Zach Hill. I'm looking for a job. These are the things that I can do." Blah 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 blah. And I got hired from that. And then I challenged people on LinkedIn. I was like, "Do the same thing because it's going to work for you." And sure enough, one guy did it, and he had a job 2 weeks later because purely on the fact that he was like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm interested in IT, I have like this certification, here's what I'm looking to do, here's where I live, these are the things I'm interested in, here's my home lab," and literally like somebody saw that and hired him.
That works so much more often than people think. And I think people are afraid to put themselves out there because people are afraid of rejection. Even with like job applications, a lot of people that I talk to are like, well, this says I need 5 years experience. I don't have that, or I need 2 years experience in this tool. And it's just like, you just got to put yourself out there. The worst thing that can happen is they say no, so I think like that's the biggest step, is making sure, first of all, assessing when you're actually ready, which can be hard to do, but being realistic if you think you're ready to take on a job. And then, putting yourself on LinkedIn is one of the things that will get you hired a lot faster than you would believe. Like, because people share those, and all it needs to do is get in front of one set of eyeballs that wants somebody or needs somebody, and you fit that criteria. And I mean, it works out really well, at a high success rate.
Yeah, I can't tell you the amount of people I've seen get jobs just from being on LinkedIn, like just from connecting with people. Mm-hmm. Like it's been like just mind blowing to me how often it happens and how quickly some of it happens. So yeah, if you're not on LinkedIn, you need to be on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things people need to make sure too is to make sure you populate it. You see some people that create a profile, no picture, no job history, no education. So you definitely want to keep that flushed out as well, I believe.
I mean, there's so much more to getting in IT than just learning the technical skills. There's just
networking's half the battle for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. And then plus, just be able to, back to the content creation and social media, trying to prove your communication skills is helpful too, because a lot of those soft skills that, some of the most technical people out there aren't always the best communicators. And so that's kind of, I kind of feel like it's kind of given me an edge on some cases is I don't mind speaking in front of a crowd, but then someone else that's, really introverted and doesn't like to do that could be really skilled or just not a good people person, and they miss out on opportunities where someone else that has the networking skills and the soft skills, a lot of times they'll win out over someone that's the ninja with bad people skills.
For sure. I mean, I feel like a lot of jobs are you hire on just the personality, people skills, because there's so much in tech that can just be taught to you, and every job is completely different. Every organization that you walk into, they could utilize the same tools, but they might utilize things differently. So I know if I'm interviewing somebody and they show like that aptitude, they show that they want to learn, like I'm eager to bring that person on because then I can kind of mold them into our environment, and they'll be able to hit the ground running a lot more efficiently, I believe, than some people who lack some of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sometimes just having the desire and passion to learn is a big deal, because you could take someone that has these certs, but they really don't care they've got their OSCP and they don't care to really advance more than that. They want the job, but they're not really willing to put in the time to learn. The people that are ambitious and have the passion are going to do well.
For sure.
You don't have to be extroverted to be a good networker by any means. Like I'm one of the most introverted people. I just hate I hate social interaction, but it doesn't mean that you can't learn how to turn that on when necessary. Even if it gives you like deep anxiety at the time, it's something that you can learn and a skill that you can hone to be more effective in those networking situations. And even in some networking nowadays with as many communities that are out there, like joining a Discord or a Slack or whatever, you can start meeting people and talking to people via chat versus like having to like go meet them face to face in person. And I think that pays dividends too. Like a lot of the job offers that I got when I was first starting out came from just people that I was in a cohort with in the OSCP, and they started getting jobs and they're like, hey, let me get you in touch with the person who hired me, just because we were all in a chat together. So it's like one of those things where you can network in many different ways. It doesn't have to be like outgoing social extrovert person, though that does help. You don't have to be that whatsoever to be successful in networking.
If it wasn't for IT, I don't think I'd ever be able to talk to people. Like that's what actually forced me to be more of an extrovert than anything, is because I didn't realize how much and how often I would actually have to deal with talking to people. And then like over the years, it's like you figure it out, and you figure out these ways, like you were saying, to do it. But it did take me a few years to kind of get over that. And then, yeah, it's easy to turn it off and on now.
Yeah, it's a skill, just like anything else. It's a skill that you can practice and perfect.
Yeah, and it also seems like too, if you're meeting people virtually, through Discord or LinkedIn or Twitter, different social media platforms, as you get to know people and communicate with them for a while, once you meet them in person, it's just a lot easier than if you meet someone for the first time. It's not as awkward.
Yeah, I mean, I met Zach today for the first time. It was like meeting a brother. We just chat every day. It's just like it was nothing changed, So
he tried to shake my hand, but I gave him. I had to hug him. I was like, "Get your hand out of here."
You got to go for the shake first.
Nah, we're brothers. It's all good.
So you're getting to work on your first physical pen test. I think I saw on social media.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
We did the first one or first building today. We got one more tomorrow, and then we're done. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Super exciting.
That's good.
Zach went all out, just like personas, stickers, fake work orders,
and they came in handy.
It did.
I was so excited about that.
We got caught today in a sense that they took our badges, scanned them, took pictures of our work order, but throughout the entire time, they never thought we were anybody else than who we were saying we were. Like they were doing their job in the sense that they were doing due diligence and finding out who we were. But it was never that, oh, you're trying to like be somebody else. So Zach did an incredible job at creating these personas, and it worked out really well. Plus, we did the ladder thing where, if you have a ladder with you, you're just so much more believable, because who would take a ladder into a physical, or to break into a building in plain daylight. So it was pretty fun.
It was awesome.
Well, that's awesome. Good job.
Yeah. I was geeking out about it like the whole time. After he left, I called my mom. I was like, Mom, did I tell you about this? I was excited. It's fun, man. It's different for sure.
So you'd be all excited for the next one, huh?
Oh, for sure. I hope we do it all the time.
Very cool.
Hopefully after we get through this, we can share some of the stuff. Depending.
Client's pretty cool. So
I don't mean that, but just like our personas or something.
Oh yeah.
Because that's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. There was a woman who used to be in part of the Dallas community, and she had a prosthetic pregnant belly that she'd wear on location. So she would come with her hands loaded with coffee, be at the door, and then someone would let them in all the time. And she messed with some people one night at Dallas Hackers. She came to Dallas Hackers one night wearing that prosthetic belly, and she was drinking. Boy, she got some dirty looks from people.
That's awesome.
I think women are significantly better at social engineering, just like built in. And I think some of the best ones like Snow and like those people are just amazing. Just and to watch them like do the work at like the DEF CON social engineering village and stuff. Like Alith is another good example. Just like
you see the video that she was like on the phone with like Verizon
or with the baby crying. Yeah, they're so good, man. They're so good.
But it's funny when you talk to people like Alith, that are kind of have a knack for it, because she was talking about when I interviewed her for my podcast, how she was, kind of social engineering people when she was a kid. Yeah, I think they're like bus passes and stuff, getting on the buses and stuff, and not having an actual bus pass. And I forget exactly what the story was, but she was already using social engineering skills as a kid.
Crazy.
Social engineering has been around forever, you know, really. But I remember back in like the AOL days, like 1999, I remember social engineering people then, and like, I didn't even realize like what I was doing at the time. Like, what is this called? It's like, I'm just like doing my thing over here, but it's wild how people fall for a lot of that stuff too, like,
because people inherently want to be trustworthy, I think, and like you want to be trusting and believe the person. Like, you don't want to believe the person's lying to you, especially somebody you just met. But like inherently, I'm trusting, like, until somebody proves to me otherwise. Right. So
the lady today did a phenomenal job. I was so proud of her.
Oh yeah, the one was like immediately suspicious about it. We had to deal with 2 social engineering parts, and one was like immediately suspicious, and the other one was just like would have given us the keys to the castle had she had those keys. But so it's just it was fun to experience both sides of that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
it's really the original hacking people, before, just conning people. But where it really annoys you is once you understand social engineering and you have telemarketers calling you, and it could be legit stuff, or salespeople. When you see some of the stuff they do, it just kind of pisses you off worse.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we kind of covered a lot of career stuff. We've got a little bit of time left if you want to kind of talk about TCM Academy and anything, what's on the horizon there, what new things you got coming up. And
me? Okay.
I can. Yeah, that's my job, right? I can do it all day.
I mean, like we've been pretty consistent with releasing courses and getting new creators. We hold fairly high standards. So like we've had some proposals come through, even like towards the final side of them, and just like haven't been able to accept them. So, getting quality content and making sure it's like what adheres to our standards has been, I guess, a challenge lately. But at the same time, we do have courses coming, and then we've got big plans to make education more accessible in 2022. So Zach's working on a practical help desk course. So like an A+ level type course, but more from a practical side, as opposed to like having to study different like
DIMs.
Yeah, DIMs and configurations and weird stuff that you'll never need to know again. So we're going to do that. And I think we're going to work on a networking, like a network 101 type course that's going to also be free. So our goal is to have a platform where people can come sign up, take videos. We might have like a pay if you want type situation where if you want to pay for the courses, you can. But make it accessible and make I guess IT interesting, and we've been targeting cybersecurity, which is our bread and butter. But at the same time, Zach's bread and butter has been like the entry level, the how to get into IT stuff. So we're going to use a lot of his skill set and kind of bridge that together to where we could be more of an all-inclusive platform, and really gain, or hopefully bring people in and have them gain interest in IT and stay in IT from it.
Yeah, I think there's be a lot of benefit to people who are venturing into security to take advantage of that course as well. Because I can't tell you how many times in the past like 3 months I've seen people, Active Directory is like this big thing, like.
People want to skip go, like they want to just go, collect their $200 without doing the foundational skills that are required, because they hear about hacking and how cool hacking is, and there's so much work that goes into getting to that level. Like hacking is really an advanced IT career, and like, can you get into it without having previous work experience? Yeah, but like you still need to build those foundational skill sets. Otherwise, if you build upon a weak foundation, like it's just not going to be good for you. It's just like a house, honestly. So, making sure that there's a resource out there that has those core foundational skills, I think will be beneficial as well.
Yeah, it's kind of good that someone have like a one-stop place where you can come in and learn some of the fundamentals before you get into some of the security topics.
Exactly.
We had a question there. Someone asked if there's going to be a practical SOC course.
We'll take course proposals for them. I don't think I've seen one come through yet, but we love to get more blue team stuff in there. We're just, again, like there's only so much. My expertise is on the red side, so unless we get a creator that creates a proposal and meets our quality standards, we would love to have that on there. So somebody's watching and wants to create one, submit a proposal, always open to it.
Yeah, that would be a good one. That's a good space for someone to get into, is some low cost blue team stuff, since I'm not really aware of a lot of it in that area.
I'm surprised we don't have more proposals for that, because they could really take advantage of that.
There's quite a few areas, I think, that there just aren't good courses. And if somebody made a course, if they're, if they're wanting money out of it, there's lucrative opportunities in certain areas. And I think a SOC course would be great. There's not SOC training out there that's cheaper than, the cheapest I think I know of is like $400, and that's really entry level. I think that's actually 400 pounds. So it's even more than that. So, I think that there's opportunity to create a cost-effective SOC course.
So one thing I'm kind of curious about, because you've got your pen testing certification that seems like it's doing pretty well. I've noticed like companies like Tenable are starting to have it as on their list of certifications, and other companies are reputable companies that know what they're doing when it comes to hiring offensive cybersecurity people. So are there any other certifications that you have on the horizon?
Yeah, so we're in the foundation or the camp of make sure that you do one thing right before you go release a bunch of like mediocre things. And I feel like a lot of certification companies out there are just like, I'm going to release 10 certifications, and maybe not even all the coursework is complete yet for that certification, just going to say it's out there. And we really want to make sure that we do this right. So like we're making sure that we're building quality certification, that the reviews have come back, and literally haven't had one negative review yet, which is fantastic. But just making sure that like people buy in, companies buy in, and that we do this completely right the first time around before we start going and making a bunch of things. So we want to make sure it's done, it's done correctly. And that includes like we're working right now. We hired a developer. We're building out a platform to improve where we're at now. So that way, like people have more control over their environment and their exam, and when they can start it and reset it and stuff like that. And it, it makes it a more enjoyable user experience before we go again and do something, another certification where we're still on a weaker platform. We want to have this strong platform, strong certification. Then we start releasing something. So when another certification comes out, they're going to say, oh, the first one was fire. It was quality. We know this one's going to be equally as good. So, we're building that brand and that reputation first before we just go put other ones out there. But yes, to answer long-winded answer, yes, there's more stuff coming, more stuff in the pipeline, but we just got to make sure we do this right first.
Awesome.
It hasn't even been a year for the PMPTs,
No,
so
no.
that's I'd say it's pretty successful, and I'd say we're very satisfied with where it's going for sure.
Yeah, I mean we're 8 months in, maybe 9 months in, and to get on like Citibank and Tenable and like all these big name vendors to like recognize the certification, especially security vendors, it's absolutely incredible. And we had a lot of people doubting in the beginning, saying like you're never going to get this on a job, like you're just too small, you can't compete, and it just like it goes to prove that first of all, like you can create something. Like if again, like what I said earlier, if you see a deficiency in the space wherever, this doesn't have to be cybersecurity, but if you see a deficiency and you feel like you can improve upon that, like go for it. Like absolutely go for it. And we did that. We went for it, and a big shout out to all the people who believed in us, because that was a huge part of it. Like getting people to buy into something that had no name brand whatsoever was incredible for us. And like those people have been the foundation that we needed. And now it's starting to like really like play itself out there, and like word of mouth is spreading, and it's doing its own work now. But it's been incredible to see the journey, and that it hasn't even been a year at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. We got a question on here. So someone wanted any ideas of how to infiltrate high school students to get them interested in and trained up early. They said they know there's stuff like Cyber Patriot, but they haven't had any luck getting pulled in as a mentor.
I think like creating a cybersecurity club would probably be your first start, and then like having, I guess depends what your role is in the high school. Like if you're a teacher, I would try to create a club and see who you can get interested in. Like maybe even like I don't know, advertise the kind of cool stuff that you can do, like hacking into computers or coding, and just like I think coding is like the cool thing that like kids are into and will absolutely buy into, especially if you would involve hacking into that, because that's just like cool stuff. So like you gotta generate interest and keep their interest. So I think creating a club and coming up with some interesting curriculum could be good. And then yeah, if you do get enough people interested, Cyber Patriot could be something that could be of value. Finding mentors can be difficult, but as somebody who tried to be a mentor for Cyber Patriot, it's equally as difficult for the mentors to get in as well. So they don't make the process very easy of finding a school and going through it. So that could have changed in the past few years, but it's I would say equally as difficult on the mentor side of things as well.
So yeah, I think that's a good point there, is try to get people interested, because I don't know, seems like the Cyber Patriot stuff is more blue team related. I think, like you said, getting kids into coding or, pen testing would be interesting, or to get them into bug bounty or something along those lines would probably give them more interest.
I think that's something that we've like, at least in my mind, that I've wanted to do at some point once we have some time to create something like that. But it would be like a code for kids kind of charity thing where we can take a weekend, or every week for ever X amount of weeks for on the weekend to do a coding camp or something for kids, or even over the summer or whatever it might be, just to kind of spark that interest and, teach them like basic Python and build some cool stuff out, and encourage them to look into these types of fields and get into tech and spaces like that. And I think like, the person saying that getting kids interested, I think absolutely we're still at a deficiency in the cyberspace, and we're going to be at a deficiency for quite some time. So the more people we can bring into this, especially at an early age, would be, beneficial.
Yeah, and the kids today are just going to crush it too, because
absolutely
they just pick up on all this stuff like so quickly. It's just amazing.
Dude, 5-year-olds know how to use iPad better than I do. It's absolutely crazy.
My 2-year-old figured out the pin to get into the iPad. Yeah. I'm like, you're 2 years old. Like, how did you do that?
It's funny because our nephew set a pin on his grandmother's new iPad. He was goofing around with it, set a pin, and she can't figure it out. And so he'll like randomly use his mom's phone and FaceTime people and stuff. So it's pretty funny how early kids are learning that stuff.
So early. Yeah.
So we get about 2 minutes left. Is there anything you guys would like to, final words or anything you'd like to share before we end the stream?
I always like to tell people, always be learning. Like, that's how I like to end the stuff, Make sure that you're that you're continuously learning as much as you can, because this field evolves quicker than I don't know what. So just make sure you're trying to stay up to date on as many things as you can. Don't get too overwhelmed with it, but just stay abreast with like what's happening currently, and you'll kind of figure out like what you need to gravitate your learning towards with that.
If you've watched me previously, this is probably going to sound like a broken record, but comparison is the thief of joy. So don't get caught up in comparing yourself to other people. Successes are incredibly filtered up to the top, and nobody likes to talk about failure, but there's 100 failures behind one success. And really all that you need to care about is running your own race, worrying about when you're going to cross your finish line, and that you're better today than you were yesterday, or you're better next week than you were last week. And don't worry about what somebody else is doing. Don't worry about how long it took them to get there, or how fast they got there. It's all about what you can do, and when you get there on your terms and your time.
Yeah, something else I'd kind of like to end it with was your new T-shirt, "The Hack More, Hate Less." That's a good motto for 2022.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's we could use more hacking and less hate in the world for sure.
Yep. Well, thanks a lot for joining, guys. We appreciate you taking the time, and thanks to everyone that joined the stream tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it as always.
You appreciate your time.